Hello, fellow beings of light, and welcome to episode 29 of our podcast. We have arrived at our fall energy update, which means I will be giving you a sneak peek into our overall theme for the season. It's the first time I think we've had one of those, defined anyway, as well as the themes for October, November, and December. I'm excited about these 3 months. More so, I think, than the last 3 seasons I've shared with you since I started this podcast. I could probably say that with each new season, and I hope I do so. That is as it should be. Now, the summer months, they were huge. We initiated and activated a lot collectively. We initiated a momentum of collective 0-point energy. We co-created the diamond blueprint of creation and initiated and regridded 12, or rather 13, of Earth's nodal points with it. And then we expanded upon that blueprint by initiating it beyond Earth, initiating an opportunity for expanded oneness between below and above through it. The number of us that participated in that, that's irrelevant. It was done. It was initiated. It was activated. Because it was meant to be. All of it intended for this specific point in human and galactic history. We are at a crossroads, individually and collectively, at a conscious choice point. 2025 is the end of a 9-year cycle. And 2026, the start of the next one, where we start back at 1. We have a choice to make, not just individually in our own journeys, but collectively, whether we are going to continue the same cycle of distortions and patterns we have for the last 9 years and many 9-year cycles before that. Or are we going to finally let go of them? Step into all the remembrance and expansion we have been doing. Step into some truth so that we start the next 9-year cycle somewhere that is not necessarily new, but far closer to what always was and always will be than any time before. Closer into alignment with who and what we are. Closer into alignment with our purpose, closer into alignment with every timeline we have created since forgetting, and closer into alignment with source and oneness with all, not just on earth, but above and below. The time for the return to one, individually and collectively, is now, in this time of starting back at 1. If you listened to our last episode, we not only got a jump start on how we are meant to accomplish that in this last phase of the year and this last phase of the current 9-year cycle, but a jump start on the massive distortions we need to begin letting go of, or at least seriously questioning before the new cycle begins. Letting go of the distortion of ascension, questioning it, and realizing that we are meant to descend and expand into resurrection, then ascend and rise from the ashes into rebirth, instead of the other way around, like we have been taught, have believed for generation after generation, incarnation after incarnation. Our theme for the entire season, the energy of fall, of this last 3 months in our current year and 9-year cycle. It is ascending into the next year and the next 9-year cycle, using the momentum we have been initiating, activating, and building, fueled by our remembrance and expansion. Our resurrection into more of who and what we are, individually and collectively. It is continuing to burn through old distortions and patterns, especially collectively, using that momentum, that fuel, and beginning our rise from the ashes of them. It is being reborn from all that has held us back, that has kept us believing the same distortions, repeating the same patterns, resetting back to where we started year after year and 9-year cycle after 9-year cycle. I'm going to say it again. The time for the return to one, individually and collectively, is now, in this time of starting back at one. I cannot emphasize the importance of this shift from the end of one 9-year cycle into the next 9-year cycle enough. 999 to 111, not portals like they would be in any other year outside of the end of a 9-year cycle and the beginning of the next one, but a gateway, an opportunity, an opening for us to step through and up, for us to step closer into alignment with all that I said before, closer into alignment with who and what we are, closer into alignment with our purpose, closer into alignment with every timeline we have created from our forgetting, and closer into alignment with source and oneness with all. This might be an episode where I repeat myself a lot, but if I do, that is because I am being called to, because what I'm repeating is that important. And beyond that gateway, what lies between 999 and 111? What lies in the space between those dates within which we make our conscious choice, individually and collectively, to go back and start the current year or 9-year cycle over again, or to step into the new ones? What I'm channeling right now, it's new for me as much as for all of you. So bear with me, because I'm working through what I'm receiving telepathically through my oversoul connections in the same way that you are working through what you are receiving from my words. I'm being called to refer back to the last episode again, to what was received from Archangel Metatron about the third and final phase of each year and each 9-year cycle. I'm actually going to pull up the transcript from that and read the portion I am being told will be built upon here today. From episode 28. Under the old distortion, we are taught that this peak at the end and the beginning of a phase of the year of a 9-year cycle represents a pause, a sacred pause. When in reality, if we take that pause, it is a hesitation. It is indecision. It is waiting when we should be trusting in the flow of what we have been receiving, what we have been expanding into, and moving forward with it. Why would we ever intentionally delay our journey, delay stepping into and embodying what we have been receiving, remembering, and expanding into? Delay opening ourselves up to receive, remember, and expand more. Worse, it is a hesitation that far too often results in us falling back on the distortion of what we have been taught to do, resetting, pushing a literal reset button that not only starts the same phase, year, or cycle we just completed all over again, but it keeps sending us backwards in time, over and over again, instead of forwards. leading us to never actually getting anywhere other than where we have already been, to right back where we started. In the new light, we are being shown that this peak at the end and the beginning of a phase of the year of a 9-year cycle represents stillness, 0 point, not a pause, for they are not the same thing, but rather a pulse of presence and awareness, not hesitating, but rather listening to yourself, to your truth, to your intuition, and making a conscious choice to move forward into the next moment instead of backwards into the one that came before it. Okay. Stillness, a pulse of presence and awareness. That is how 999 to 111 were defined in that episode. We are going to build upon that now. And yeah, I'm going to repeat the question I asked before I was called to make that little detour. What lies between those gateways of 999 and 111? What lies in the space between them? In that point of stillness and 0 point energy, in that pulse of presence and awareness, that space where we make our conscious choice individually and collectively to go back and start the current year or 9-year cycle over again, or to step into the new one. 10-10, 11-11, 12-12. 3 portals that ascend. Count up to the new year and cycle. 0, stillness. 1, step forward. 2, steps forward. Instead of descending into it as we have always seen it, counting us down. Now, if your human brain is anything like mine, you are thinking, we start at 1 in the new year and at the start of the next 9-year cycle. Why would we start at 1 in November just to start at 1 again in January? And isn't that stepping backwards when you were telling us we are meant to be stepping forwards? Good questions. And part of the point of where they are leading us, like our last episode, it's a jump start. We are on this precipice of the end and the beginning, within that gateway of making a conscious choice. We are in a moment of stillness that can either be a pause, a hesitation, and a massive reflection that sends us backwards to where we started, convincing us that we have more work to do back there. Or it can be a pulse, a moment of presence, and a raising of awareness into all that we have received and expanded into over the last year and over this 9-year cycle that carries us forward. They are showing me it like a defibrillator, the machine and paddles used to restart someone's heart when it stops. We begin the shift into stillness on 9/9 after all that we have been burning away at the end of spring and entering summer. After we have begun rising from those ashes at the end of summer and entering fall. At the moment, we are intended to be reborn. Reborn free of those ashes, of the shadows now brought into light, of the distortions now brought into truth, and of the unaligned patterns now brought back into alignment. All that we are intended to leave behind in the current year and 9-year cycle. as well as those that came before them, if that is the case. Not a literal death where our heart stops, but a moment of pure stillness where all of our bodies, physical, emotional, mental, energetic, spiritual, causal, and beyond, essentially stop shifting, stop expanding, stop breathing. It can feel like getting stuck or getting lost, more so when you are unfamiliar with 0 point, maybe even mindfulness in general. But it is neither. It is intentional. It is a moment of pure stillness that allows us to not feel, think, or know when it comes to both what we are attempting to leave behind and what we are attempting to step into. It is a temporary blank slate, a pure moment of 0 point that we hit the peak of on 1010. When those energetic paddles come down and send a jolt through each of our 6 bodies and beyond of pure light and love, of pure truth and oneness. A jolt that allows us to temporarily be free of that which we have burnt away and risen from, as well as that which we have yet to burn away and rise from. Temporarily free of it before we are fully ready to be free of it on our own, mentally, emotionally, and energetically in our reborn state. Free of it so that we might question all of it, everything, from the neutral perspective of an outsider and see the ashes, shadows, distortions, and unaligned patterns for what they are. Not real, not truth, not who and what we are, not aligned with our purpose, not aligned with oneness within and without. Shadows, distortions, and patterns now able to be seen in a new light that will help us be more confident and prepared to step forward when the true return to one comes on 111. A jolt that sends a pulse of unbound, unrestricted feelings, thoughts, and emotions through us that we hit the peak of on 1111. When those energetic paddles come down a second time, sending another jolt through each of our 6 bodies and beyond of pure light and love, of pure truth and oneness. A jolt that allows us to begin to temporarily see not merely what lies ahead if we make that conscious choice to step forward into the cycle of a new year and into the new 9-year cycle, free of all of that, but what has been being denied to us all of this time? Self-imposed denial, but still denial. Temporarily seeing before we are fully ready to see it on our own, mentally, emotionally, and energetically in our reborn state. Seeing all of not only what is to come in the next year and the next 9-year cycle, but what has always been and always will be along our individual unified timelines and collective unified timeline that we all have continuously branched off of over and over again each time we have incarnated and passed through the 6 veils of forgetting, the 6 degrees of separation from all that is, all that was, and all that ever will be. Our light, our truth, our purpose, and the alignment of our unified timeline, now able to be seen in a way that will help us to be you guessed it, more confident and prepared to step forward when the true return to one comes on 111. A jolt that sends a pulse of unbound, unrestricted sight and awareness through us that we hit the peak of on 12/12. When we approach that precipice at the end of the year and of our current 9-year cycle and are faced with the conscious choice that must be made, whether we are going to be reborn from the ashes, ascend from them, move forward from them, descend into the new year and new 9-year cycle, and resurrect ourselves into more of what is, was, and always will be us, individually and collectively? Or are we going to keep doing what we have been doing, swimming against the current, flying against the wind of time and infinite flow, falling backwards, descending back into the past, back into the shadows, distortions, and unaligned patterns that will have us repeating the same year and 9-year cycle we are at the close of, and in turn, many years and 9-year cycles before that, where we did the same, individually and collectively. I'm going to repeat myself again. I cannot emphasize the importance of this shift from the end of one 9-year cycle into the next 9-year cycle enough. The importance of this conscious choice point collectively, because we will not have the opportunity to make it again for another 9 years. 2034. There has to be a substantial conscious choice to step forward as one collectively now, which means that there has to be a substantial number of individuals who, in their sovereignty, are consciously choosing to step forward now. We don't need all. We don't need every single human on earth right now, because we are all one. But we do need enough of us to not only continue fueling the momentum, to carry it through into the new 9-year cycle, but to allow it to continue to build and build until the forward force of it is so strong that it pulls every single human on earth along with it, whether they are ready to make that conscious choice to step forward or not. Take a moment. Think about that, what just came through. Feel the significance of it, the truth of it. Now, I can't speak for all of you. I can hope for all of you, but I cannot speak for all of you when I say I am done with being told my shadows are anything other than my own light, merely needing to be seen, acknowledged, loved, and allowed to rise back up out of the dark, out of the veils of forgetting, out of the 6 degrees of separation with me. I am done descending into them, into the past, and leaving them there in the dark. That dark is going to burn away, and my light is going to rise from the ashes. I am done with all of the distortions that are being believed like we don't know any better. We do. We are capable of questioning each and every one of them. Everything we feel, hear, see, and know for ourselves. We are capable of seeing the holes in each and every one of them. I am done descending into them, into the past, and leaving them there to continue existing in the dark. That dark is going to burn away, and the truth is going to rise from the ashes. I am done being stuck in the same unaligned patterns and repeating the same cycles, getting nowhere. I have remembered too much over the last year. I have expanded into too much over the last year to ever go backwards again. I am going forward into the next year, into the next 9-year cycle, and into each one that comes after them. This has been a conversation that I've had with a close friend several times over the last few weeks since 999 about how we are both ready to make that conscious choice, that step forward individually, and how we need others to do the same, how we need to do so collectively. And just this week, she was telling me to make sure all of you know that we are doing this, that we are stepping forward, that stepping backwards again collectively at the end of this 9-year cycle is not an option. We are not waiting until 2034 to get another chance. We are doing this now. So I'm actually going to repeat all of the declarations I just made, and I'm going to make a note to add the words on the screen so you can read and say them with me if that resonates with you. I am calling you to repeat them with me, to initiate and activate them within you and your field. I am done with being told my shadows are anything other than my own light, needing to be seen, acknowledged, loved, and allowed to rise back up out of the dark, out of the veils of forgetting, out of the 6 degrees of separation with me. I am done descending into them, into the past, and leaving them there in the dark. That dark is going to burn away, and my light is going to rise from the ashes. I am done with all of the distortions that are being believed like we don't know any better. We do. We are capable of questioning each and every one of them. Everything we feel, hear, see, and know for ourselves. We are capable of seeing the holes in each and every one of them. I am done descending into them, into that past, and leaving them there to continue existing in the dark. That dark is going to burn away, and the truth is going to rise from the ashes. I am done being stuck in the same unaligned patterns and repeating the same cycles, getting nowhere. I have remembered too much over the last year. I have expanded into too much over the last year to ever go backwards again. I am going forward into the next year, into the next 9-year cycle, and into each one that comes after. Whew. Take a moment. Let those declarations sink in. Feel the significance of them. Feel the truth of them. Okay, I think our guides for this recording, and I'm not sure who they are, beyond it being at least one of the three, maybe more at this point, oversouls I am now connected with consciously. I haven't asked, and I'm not being called to. They have tiptoed into the territory of what the themes for the 3 months of fall will be in October, November, and December. I'm not quite sure how yet, how it builds on what I have already received before recording this, but I feel it, or rather, I know it consciously. So we will see how what has been said already blends in with what is yet to be said. For the month of October, we will be activating individual 0 point energy and the freedom to question everything through our emotional body. Delving deep into the question of time itself with Archangel Gabriel and Pallas Athena, re-experiencing stillness as a pulse and not a pause, uncovering the distortion that time is irrelevant, that it is nothing, and allowing the truth that time is quite literally everything to be seen. We will explore the role of time in the reconciliation of what has been separated, the role of time in the sacred geometry symbol of infinity, infinite balance, infinite flow, infinite 0 point, and the role of timelines in both allowing us to intentionally branch off from and yet come back into reconvergence with our individual and collective unified timeline. For the month of November, we will be activating individual sovereignty and the ability of clear sight through our mental body. Delving deep into releasing ourselves from our self-imposed cages and limitations with Archangel Michael and Kuan Yin. Expanding into our own sovereign thoughts and logic, and allowing ourselves to begin seeing our true selves, our true purpose, our true unified timeline clearly as if it already exists, because it does. We will explore the distortion of external control, how we have individually and collectively built belief systems and journeys on distortions that have only led us farther out of alignment, and how we can begin to realign with ourselves and collectively through sovereign thought and trusting our own inner intuition and sight. And finally, for the month of December, we will be activating the momentum of stepping forward individually and in turn collectively through our energetic bodies, delving deep into the conscious choice we want to make for ourselves and for all as we leave the current year and the current 9-year cycle behind and step into those new ones with Archangel Raphael and myself as a consciousness fragment of Archangel Sophia. Interesting. I did not see that coming, but okay, I'm totally in. I'm down. I'll rise to that challenge. I see what you're doing, Grandpa Raphael. Choosing to rise from the ashes, reborn as more of ourselves and more in alignment than we have ever been in any year or 9-year cycle before. And allowing ourselves to step forward into that, into embodying that, into descending into, resurrecting ourselves into even more of what is, was, and always will be us, individually and collectively. Rising to that challenge. Beyond the months themselves, I have also been receiving the Phoenix, understandably so, in the context of what has come through today and in the last episode, rising from the ashes, but also in the context that we brought 2024 to a close in our winter solstice activation with a then unnamed shaman on my team who has since come forward as not only Archangel Raphael, but one of his earth personifications, Quetzalcoatl, who has since come forward as representing the phoenix within us. That was in our summer solstice activation back in June. Maybe some of you have actually been following along with these episodes and activations and caught that. I hope that some of you are following along, or if you weren't, that you are beginning to. Because all of this, what I've been building and what we have been co-creating together has been expanding so much in only the span of just under a year. I honestly can barely recognize where myself and this podcast started and where myself and it are now as being the same path, the same person. The shift, the expansion has been that massive. Sorry, getting a little emotional. Didn't intend to. Okay, where was I even headed? Receiving the Phoenix. It is another blueprint that we will be initiating and activating. We co-created, initiated, and activated the diamond blueprint of creation below, and then between above and below over our summer months. And now we are going to co-create, initiate, and activate something I had actually thought was intended for September when my team switched our focus up from Earth sovereignty to expanded oneness between above and below at the request of many above. I get it now. I'm just now getting it, why that was delayed. So bear with me again as I receive and process at the same time you are. Phoenix Blueprint is the blueprint of Earth's purpose galactically, emerging at this specific point in human and galactic history, because we are no longer one, but many sovereign beings of light acting as one, who are done allowing ourselves to fall backwards, to remain stuck in distortions, who are ready to step forward into more, to be resurrected into the truth of what is, what was, and always will be, who are ready to rise from the ashes of forgetting, of separation, and be reborn back at one. We are ready. I am actually going to have you repeat that last part with me. It feels like something we are activating. So go ahead and repeat after me. We are no longer one, but many sovereign beings of light acting as one. Who are done allowing ourselves to fall backwards, to remain stuck in distortions. Who are ready to step forward into more, to be resurrected into the truth of what is, what was, and always will be. who are ready to rise from the ashes of forgetting, of separation, and be reborn back at one. We are ready. We are ready. We are ready. Take a moment to let those words activate within and beyond you. Feel the significance of them, the truth of them. I am not yet certain whether this Phoenix blueprint will be co-created, initiated, and activated in December, or if it will be spread out across the gateway between 999 and 111, across the portals within that gateway. 1010, 1111, 1212. I'm not being allowed to see that yet. So I guess we'll find out together. And I guess we'll end here. Thank you for joining us for our fall energy update. I don't know what all of you are thinking and feeling following all of that. I can usually get a sense of it, but I'm not being allowed to see that either, which is fitting, I guess. They want me to focus on my own sovereign thought and inner intuition. I get that. And I accept that gift with love and gratitude. I think, I feel a lot. That was a lot, whether in the words and messages that came through themselves or in the energy that surrounded them. I can see the shift, how this season, this year, this end of the current 9-year cycle is different than the ones that came before them. I can see it as truth. I can feel it as truth. I know it as truth. This shift is happening. We are stepping forward collectively. I hope you can see, feel, and know that too. Join us for our 1010 portal activation, which will not be happening on 1010 because I am being called to travel somewhere that holds significance in my journey first on 1014 before recording the activation. I don't think it will be shared that day because of the time required to travel to and from that place and whatever length of time I end up being called to stay there. So I'm just going to say next week. It will be shared next week. Right, team? Yes? Okay. I hope to see you then. Rishkatkati.